Hey, looks like we're recording on OBS. Let me come over to Twitch, make sure everything is muted, and all of the tweets are sent out. So I think we're officially ready to begin. Alright, so hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson. It is July 7th, 7-7, and this is the July 7th Text Quest Devstream. So, we have a couple of different things that we can do today. Most of them are things we probably won't finish. They are definitely things that we'll be able to get started and get a pretty decent way in there, but they're a little bit bigger than one dev stream type thing. So here are the options that I've sort of thought up for today, or I guess tonight, technically. We can try to set up heat maps in Unity, and heat maps basically allow me to track where players are going, sort of what they're looking at, that sort of thing. And it's a special sort of data set that Unity can actually track. I might just discount that one actually right off the bat because the setup for it is kind of weird. But if there's a sufficient amount of interest in it, I might look at that anyway because I have access to it and it's something that I'm interested in, but I just haven't implemented it yet. Then Sierra mode, more puzzles for that in the Plains level. We're going to redo some of how the flow of the Plains level works in Sierra mode because it's drastically different from what normal mode does. We need to do substances for our cabin still. So if we actually come over here, you'll know that we made substances for our grass and our dirt, which is why we have those normal map effects. Although actually it looks a little sparse, but I guess that could be because of the vertex painting. Same with our soil. You know, we have all of these nice substance files that make everything just look a lot better. But we do not have that if we come over here to our log cabin. We do not have the substance files made for this yet. So this is all just using, I don't even think this is a standard shader actually. I'm pretty sure that this is straight up the diffuse shader from Unity 4. It is. It's just the legacy diffuse shader. So we basically need to do all of those substances, which partially involves doing sort of a remodeling of the actual cabin mesh. Because I think it's fine for now, but there are a couple of tweaks that I probably would want to make. So that's an option. We also have volumetric lighting, which is probably going to be a post-process effect, and I would kind of like to look at that now that we've fixed our post-process effects errors that we were getting before. Because before we tried doing post-process effects to get volumetric lighting, and it wouldn't work. But I think that's because of how our cameras were set up before, so now that'll be an interesting thing to try. And then a couple of other smaller ones, which would be add a cursor tutorial painting to the castle, since there are some players who don't quite understand how interactions work in Text Quest, even after making it through the tutorial somehow. And then updating how the player enters and exits darkness, because we still get that weird error where the HUD kind of goes crazy when you enter darkness on your second playthrough of the game. And I think I know what's causing that, so we might take a look at that. I think the first thing we're going to do is probably this darkness stuff. Actually, no. First thing we're going to do is the cursor tutorial, because that's nothing too substantial, and it's a good thing to start off with so we can ease into development a little bit. And, of course, stay casual and talk to people who want to talk. And then we'll move on to that. We'll move on from the cursor tutorial stuff to updating how players enter darkness, and then we'll go from there to either volumetric lighting or substances or Sierra mode puzzles. We'll let people decide at that point. So to start off, don't have any updates, unfortunately. I have been pretty swamped with work and getting ready to move. So again, I'm not going to be doing a dev stream this Saturday as I will probably be moving. So not going to have my computer, plugged in. So let's go ahead and jump over to our castle level. So go to Text Quest, Scenes, Intro, Castle. And there. Actually, it'll take a little bit of time. I do feel like level loading has gotten slower in 5.4, or at least the newest 5.4 beta. Don't know why, but it seems like it takes a little bit longer. All right. So this is the current level, and I think what we're going to do is we're just going to add a small painting right over here. So I think we'll move the armor slightly over to the right, so it's on the right side of our interact when near an object painting. And let's see, props, hall, paintings. We can get rid of these knights because originally I had a whole bunch of knights, and I don't think I need that anymore. I will move this armor. So right now it's to the left of the painting. I think I'm going to move it over here to the right, so it's in the corner. And then, do I have the, good, I do have the arm spawn still, so I don't have to change that. Very convenient. And the next thing I want to do is just grab, I believe, the look painting. There we go. So let's select this. And we're going to want to get, so we have silver, silver, silver. That was unintentional. All of the big paintings in here are silver. Actually, no, that's how they're set up, isn't it? Yeah, large paintings are silver paintings. So I think what we'll do is we'll add a wood frame. Yeah, I like that. Let's add a wood frame. So we're just going to drag that into paintings. Of course, we have to drag it all the way across the map because it spawns in at 0, 0. Move it up a little bit. And we're just going to place this like right here, right next to the other painting. And where is interact? So that is the Z coordinate that we want. Basically, it's right up against, we want it right up against the edge, but not clipping through it. All right. So what we're going to do here is, oh, really? That's unfortunate. It's really far away still. Okay. Then I guess just 18 point, oops, 2. No, that's still too much. Let's try 125. 1, 2, 5. Really? Okay, I guess 18.15 because it's got to be weird about it. And then, of course, we're going to come over here to our look painting. I'm going to copy this canvas object, and then I'm going to just paste it. Oh, wait, no, it's already there, right? I need to copy the... Copy these guys. Paste them below. Of course, they're going to freak out. And then 0 them out, I think. That's all I'll have to do. And they should be fairly... Yeah, so they're going to be pink, because that's the color that the mouse look stuff is over here. But now we're going to want to space them out. And this is going to be a little bit different. Normally I've just been doing words, but this one will actually have 2 sprites in it. So it's going to be a special little painting, to quote Bob Ross. Or I guess it's going to be a happy little painting would be the better quote. So let's see. Move this up. And actually, I think I'm just going to say, I only need one control label, and that's going to say cursor will, darn, change. Let's get rid of our to label and our action label. Let's 0 this out. And do I need to actually scale this? Oh, no, I do. I do have to scale everything. Ugh. I always forget about that. But if I don't scale, so the reason that these things are scaled down so much is because if you don't scale them down, then the text has this like huge quality loss because you're rendering at incredibly tiny points. You're rendering at like, to render this at 24 font size, which is a decent font size, it has to be blown up 100 times. So I have to scale it down by 100 while simultaneously setting its width to be 500 times basically. It's not an ideal solution, but it works. So let's say position y is 0.15, 0.25. Yeah, 0.25 looks good. All right. So next, let's go ahead and change this to yellow. Yellow be okay? I don't think I have a yellow. Not yet. No, I do have yellow for WASD, don't I? Crap. I guess I could go blue. Don't have a blue over here. Something complementing to red would have been nice, but I can't use orange because I used that before. Let's just go ahead and say blue. So cursor will change, and then we're going to add 2 images. So UI image is going to be default cursor, and this is going to be solid. Oops, I hate it when it does that. Solid. All right. Interesting. Why do I not see it? Let's see here. Interesting. Ah, there we go. That's more expectable. So let's scale this down by 0.1. Jeez, scaling it down by 100% does that. Let's do 10 by 10. That's not terrible. And then let's duplicate that. Call it interact cursor. Let's change this to a positive value. Change this to our. Let's just look for cursor. Do I have one? Good, I do. All right. We will set this to 0.1. That is unfortunate. And that is actually pretty accurate. Crap. Jeez. Can't win. 0.1. And we'll say a width of 50 by 50. 0.01. 0.01. There we go. And then let's just bump it up a little bit. Say negative 0.15. Let's see, negative 0.2 might be fine. That's not bad. Negative 0.2. Alright. Just grab this color. That'll be the end of it. And then we should have our new cursor tutorial. So now if we look at it, you'll see that we have right next to our E or click to interact when near an object, we have a small painting that says, your cursor will change. Then it displays the 2 states. I really should probably add, I'm going to rename this to cursor painting. And I'm going to go ahead and add one more label. Duplicate this. And I'm going to call it arrow label. I do not know why I cannot spell tonight. Arrow label. And this is just going to be kind of lazy for now, but we'll see if we can make that work properly. Negative 0.25. Alright. It's not bad. So we get a little bit of, it's not great. Let me see if I can bump this up. Let's try 32, maybe 48. Let's go 32, and then set it down to be negative 0.2. All right, now let's take a look at it. Right, I'm not going to spawn in though, am I? Yep. It's going to open up our menu camera. Alright, let's just drag our player character in there then. It kind of sucks that adding that system in broke the auto spawn. It's really unfortunate. And we should just be able to hit play and it'll dump us off at that first spawn point. So... Shazam? There we go. Still sounds very loud. Okay, hold on. Why? Sounds like the audio is following me. That's not right. I'm willing to bet that it probably has something. I bet if we stop playing and then we play again, it might not happen. Or one of the other cameras didn't turn off. Yeah, one of the other cameras didn't turn off. Joy. That's why. So we're hearing the audio listener on the other camera. Can't win these things, can we? Yep. So turning that off makes it work. So now we have E or oh right, I forgot that I have the toggle controls now. So I don't have to hold down shift to sprint. E or click to interact when near an object. So great. And then cursor will change, and then we just show the change to from the dot that you can see in the center of the screen to our interact icon. All right. So I think that's a nice addition to the tutorial level. Although maybe I should put this on this wall to help break up the monotony of this wall, because all it has is a torch. But also doing that means that yeah, I'm actually going to do that. Because one of the biggest things I think that people have trouble with when they first start out is they don't quite understand that you have to be close to something to interact with it, so they'll try to interact with an object from across the room. Hello, Garrett. How have you been? So it's been an issue of people not figuring out that you have to be close to an object, and I think having this here will help with that. So let's go ahead and let's just move it. And before we do that, actually, I am going to duplicate it, because I'm going to need it again in the throne room. And then we're going to rotate this 90 degrees. Alright, so now we can let's put this down at 21 even, as well as negative 76.75. Okay, a little bit more than that. 0.85. 85 is pretty good, from what I can tell. Alright, so by putting it here, and let's actually put it right about here in the center. One, we make it still very visible right next to the object that you would be interacting with. Alright, let me select this real quick. And we're going to move this guy to our throne room, paintings. And now we're going to actually move him real quick. F. And of course I made it a different oh man. Okay, I'm just gonna disable it for now because I'm lazy. So let's hit play again. And basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to have those two paintings be in strategic locations so that yeah, I know the whole two audio system thing. Yeah, we might take a look at that tonight, actually, because I do not like having... I don't like how slow it's made my testing levels again. So we have this here. And now, when you're coming over here to interact with the door for the first time, if you get stuck and you don't quite know why it won't open because you're not close enough, so say you're at here, I'm not close enough to have the door, but you might be, trying to say, open door. And say, I don't see a door around here, and people will be like, well, there's a door right here. What are you talking about? You don't see a door. And for the most part, most people's reactions to saying, like, to seeing I don't see a door around here is actually to, like, mash their face into the door and then try opening it. And that's kind of the thought process I had, but apparently there are some people who don't think like that. So by adding this here, if you come over here and you don't know why you're not interacting with the door, you can just glance back and you'll be able to see cursor will change dot to crosshair, and then people might get a little bit more curious as to how close they have to get, because they'll notice that their crosshair is not visible, it's just the dot. Alright, so let's go ahead and go back to normal, And I am going to duplicate this interact painting, move it up to here. So it's going to be like a super tall stack of stuff. We're going to call this our cursor painting. Get rid of its canvas elements. So get rid of these two. And then we're just going to drag our cursor canvas stuff up. Boop, right there. Nice and simple. 0.2. And I believe we want it to be at 0. Correct? For our Z? Yes, we do. Alright. So these guys are going to be negative 0.2, I believe. And ta-da! Like that, it's all perfect again. Although I will change its color. Oh, I guess I can't. Oh, wait, no, I can for these guys. I can for these guys. Let's make it yellow, I guess. A little bit more of an orange. Copy this. And then put it on these two guys. Just because I want to have different colors for all three of the paintings here. That. And there we go. We now have our wonderful paintings, and our tutorial is completely perfect now. I bet no one will be able to get through it without learning how to do things. He said, knowing full well that there's probably some stupid thing that he has not thought of. Although, to be fair, from what I've gathered, the game is fairly intuitive. It's just that when people don't get the concepts, they really don't get the concepts. So you gotta plan for those types of people. So again, it's a little tall, but I like having all three of the paintings in one area like this, just because it's a nice aesthetic choice. You notice that it's a different color. That's because it hasn't had its light map baked, which we will obviously not do on the stream, because, as we know, baking on the stream is a huge, stupid thing to do. Okay. Well, that's the first task for tonight off the list. That was pretty nice and quick. Let's go ahead and stop that. We'll delete our hero character, close everything down, and then we will save. And then I will move this up to here. Alright, so the next task I think that we're going to do is updating how our player enters and exits dark areas. So for that... Oh no, I might not have baked the sewer light map after updating to 5.4 beta 24. Oh, I don't think I did. That's gonna suck, because it would have been a great example for this. Oh no, I didn't. Crap. Ah, that sucks. Well, then I guess we're gonna go to the plains instead. Because the plains has a dark area we can walk into, it's just not as cool as the sewers. So let's go to Overworld, Plains, and we'll just drop in here. Goody. I love it when my substance files just don't generate. It's not hard to fix, it's just annoying. Oh, wait. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Okay. So, boop. Oh, actually, you know what? That's... Didn't realize that those were at 8. Well, that's convenient. Let's see. Dirt. The dirt is fine. Don't need to do anything for that. Soil. Let that compile. I really need a faster way to get through this error, because it's not really an error on my part. It's just the Unity engine doesn't bake these substances, like it doesn't generate them when you open the level for some reason. And I don't know why. It's not like there's a problem with it. It just doesn't do it. Oh, that's pretty nice. Just tweaking the emissive value. Alright, so that should be all of it, I think. Yes, okay. So now, if we come in here and run around, you'll be able to see that we have a dark area somewhat over here. I'm going to turn off the audio so I don't have to talk over it. So we have a semi-dark area over here, an area that I need to make apparent that it's much darker than it currently is. So we get, it is dark, you are likely to be eaten by a grue, blah, 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 blah. However, if we... This is going to be interesting. Let's save, quit. Save game, no. Okay, so we're going to skip through this and we're going to load that save file. Son of a bitch. Oh, right. Ah, son of a bitch. Damn it. We can just hit continue. This is going to be potentially scary. Hold on. Do we have two? I think we have two. We do. We have two of them. Turn you off. Yeah, that's the reason I don't like dragging the hero prefab in. Because if you come back to that scene, there's going to be two heroes running around, which is just pointless. Okay, so like I was saying, if we come back here, so now you'll notice that it says it is dark, you're likely to be eaten by a grue, but our indicator is not changing color, which is a huge problem because the changing color from gray to bright pink is a very, very immediate visual cue that, hey, something's changed, you need to be careful. So what we need to do is sort of look at how this event is being assigned and then figure out why it would break. And I think I know why, because I'm pretty sure that I was sloppily not recycling the player character as well as I should have. So if we go to, let's go to player, open up our code. Well, while this is happening, how's everyone doing tonight? Anything exciting going on? Let's see, we can close our dictionary, close our input view, close our parser, close string extensions, FPS controller, FPS input, and close pause view. Okay. So what we have here is we have a enter darkness event. Let's find all reference. And all we're doing is we're saying when the HUD wakes up, so when the HUD is first sort of instantiated, it basically listens for the hero saying, hey, I'm entering the dark, or hey, I'm leaving the dark. But if the global hero gets deleted, which I believe is what happens when the player quits, that event is no longer going to fire correctly. And actually, we can check that real quick by going to, let's say, pause view. Let's see. Could also look for references to global.hero, but let's see. So we have quit game, unquit clicked, go to definition, quit game, blah, 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 go to definition. So, okay, so we just recycle our hero, but I am going to go ahead and find all references here, because something I thought was actually deleting it. Let's see. If not, we will probably have to go a little bit more in depth than I was thinking it might be. Let's see. He wrote check dark, blah, 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 blah. Global.hero, game object, hero.movement, hero.transform, enter darkness. Interesting, I guess I don't. But if that's the case, I don't know why it wouldn't change color. Well, let's find out. Let's see. Show effect overlay, hide darkness icon. Right. Okay. So we're going to have these two functions here. We're going to debug.log. We're going to say in dark. Then we're going to debug.log. light. Alright. So now if we do this whole dance again, we'll be able to see that as we enter the dark, it should say, hey, I'm in the dark. And if it says, hey, I'm in the light, when we leave, then that's good. But I have a hunch that something is happening with our event that is not quite doing what it needs to do. I honestly don't know what else we would do with it. Okay, so that's not compiling. Let's see. Alright. So if we run down here, go into the dark, we get our in dark. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn off maximize on play so I can keep an eye on the console. In light. In dark. In light. Okay, that's good. So again, we're going to save. We're going to quit. Yes. I'm not going to save after that. So here is, of course, where things get super fun. We start getting spammed by our no audio listener. I wonder. So yeah, this is a thing that happens. And because of that, jeez, this is frustrating. Start. I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, I bet that's why. Okay. Continue. Alright, so we're going to pause. Now, here's our global hero. We're going to turn off our hero object in the planes. Turn that off. Okay. So now we're going to see if we actually get that debug message. Let's clear this. See, now we don't get it. But I'm curious if this is going to happen, and if it does, I'm going to be very, very sad. We're going to turn off our clone, run around in our player character that was in the level already, and see if that does it. That would be immensely sad if it does. It does not. So yeah, I was right. Those events are not getting called properly. So let's go to show darkness icon. Let's find all references. There are two moments when this should show. Global.hero.enter darkness. So go to definition here. And if the game start, or if the level starts and the hero is in the dark. Which actually I guess is kind of moot here, but that's fine, I suppose. So, interesting. Hello, the Beastly Bro. How are you doing? Currently, we're sort of adjusting how we enter and exit darkness to fix a small usability bug. Let's see. See, because I think that the problem is, I guess that our event isn't firing. Let me grab the actual trigger. We have a light dark zone right here. This light dark zone is just a trigger that tells you, hey, you're in the dark, hey, you're in the light. Let's get rid of our sphere component. We don't need that. Let's turn this on. Let's see what it's doing. On trigger enter, if the col.tag is player, which means it's our player character, we're going to get our hero component. If the hero is not in the dark, then we need to... You know what, I wonder if it would be better just to do it here then. Kind of think it would be. Okay. Hola padre means hello father. Que tal, que tal. I don't remember actually. I took Spanish in high school, but I was pretty atrocious at it. I'm not great with Latin languages. So no, I do not know. I know what half of it means. Um, but I'm doing all right. Could be better, but I'm getting ready to move, so, doing all right is about the best I can do. So what I'm going to do here is, instead of just saying set info to text, I'm also going to just UI.get. See, no, I don't actually like doing that. I'm kind of more curious as to why it's not actually calling enter. Maybe I should do this. I think what I'll do is I'm just going to say, move this stuff over here. And let's see if we still get that error. Oh, it means, hey, hi, daddy. Yeah. I don't think I have the physique to be called daddy. I don't know what I would be, but I'm pretty sure I would not be daddy. Because that always, well, I don't know enough terminology to appropriately guess what I would be. What's up? Okay. That's what I guess, that's what my assumption was for it, but I could have been wildly wrong. Who knows? Alright, so let's try this again. One more time. So we should get expected behavior with this. So yep. Okay, I'm going to save. I'm going to quit. Save game. We will not. Alright, let's head out. Start. Continue. Yeah, I know. We're going to get those horrible errors. Let's get rid of this. Alright, now we got things to ourselves, and now, if we were to come down here... Really? Interesting. That's very strange, because we straight up tell it in dark should be equal to true, and then we tell it if in dark, then set call enter darkness. This is actually more interesting than I thought it would be, because I don't know what would be causing this type of bug. Because code-wise, it looks like everything should be fine. Hello, Vital Reflex. Welcome to the Devstream. This is TextQuest. It is a first-person text-based adventure, and we are currently trying to figure out why going into the dark on your second playthrough doesn't do something that it's supposed to do. And as you can see, if you have not seen the Devstream before, everything in the world is made up of text. So dirt is the word dirt, grass is the word grass, trees is the word tree, clouds say cloud. And if I could get it to work, your reticle would turn pink when you went into the dark. But for some reason it doesn't want to. It's just weird because we're getting... Because we're getting the transition from from light to dark from the actual trigger zone, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't. We wouldn't be getting this notification from the HUD. So, and before I forget, Vital Reflex. I always like to ask people who come onto the stream how you found the stream. I assume most of the time you're just randomly going through Twitch and you happen to find it. Interesting. Wait. No, never mind. Yeah, that's correct. So, it should only set you to be in the dark, to not be in the dark when you leave the collider itself. But then it should... I guess this could be false, so it might not think that the hero is in the dark. Let's debug. .log hero .in dark, and let's see what that value is, Because the only thing I can think of is that for some reason it thinks that you're in the dark, and then it's setting it up to not be the case, or it thinks that you're. Yeah, it already thought you were in the dark, but you actually weren't. I don't know what was up with that. Um, we'll see if that's the case. It would be kind of weird if it was, but who knows? At this point, I'm just kind of curious to find out what it is. It's got to be something very small, like some line of code that was just written 2 years ago by stupid Chris, as all past forms of Chris are stupid. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's hit play. Try this again. We'll run through here. So it says that we're in the light right now. Then we're in the dark. We're in the light. We're in the dark. Okay. So now let's go ahead again. Save. Quit. Yes. Not going to bother saving. We might also set up cameras for our planes level, because that's part of what's happening here. I think that it's complaining about having no audio listeners. Start. Continue. Ugh, this is just atrocious how much I have to go back into the console and clear everything and just I might do that next, actually. I hate how slow adding that new progress-based menu system made playtesting. So it's, what the hell? So everything's going exactly like I expect it to, but for some reason it's just not getting the right. So here we can see that we're getting that debug, and it doesn't think that it doesn't think that the hero's in the dark, which means that this should evaluate to true, which means that this should happen, which means that it should be firing that event, but it's not. That is incredibly strange to me. Jeez. So here we have our in dark, and here we're going to say, if in dark does not equal our value, so in dark was set to be false, which means that this should not be true, or this should be true, because we're setting it to be true, which means that our in dark will get set to value, and then screw it. Let's just get rid of this. Why? I think I just did that so that I wouldn't fire the event twice, but it doesn't really matter. So we'll see if it still doesn't fire after this, and if it doesn't, then I'm going to go on a witch hunt to figure out what happens to in dark and what could possibly be setting it to be false or true as necessary. Yeah, those are the only places that it happens, so I don't think I have this anywhere else. If in dark and has light source, in dark not has light source, in dark has light source, blah 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 blah. I guess we have a couple. No, that's the dark zone. Yeah, that's not too bad. I don't think we have a dark zone. Or maybe that's actually what that is. Pretty sure that this is a light dark zone. Yeah, it is. Dark zones are like light zones, but they don't have a light portion of them, so once you go into them, you're just set to be in the dark. Which probably isn't really practical, but hey, put it in there in case I need it. So, we'll hit play again. See what happens. Of course, you know what I could do to alleviate this problem? It's as simple as just deleting this and then going back to our base scene and loading in from there. It just sucks that we have to go through our main menu to actually get into the planes. Although, actually, no, that won't work because we don't have camera set up yet. Add one new system that's really nice and it shoots you in the foot. That's the moral of the day today. One of these days I'll figure out a workflow that doesn't kill me. Alright, so we're going to add some cameras real quick. So we're going to say menu cameras. And these are cameras that we use for our progression menu system. So when you load up the main menu, it actually loads the level in the background. So you can have a sense of how far you've progressed in the most recent save file. So let's go ahead and create a camera. Get rid of our GUI layers and whatnot. We don't need any of that. Perspective's probably fine. And I'm just going to have the one camera for now, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. And I'm just going to kind of lazily put it right here. Because I don't want it to be too high up, and I don't want it to be too low. I move it a little bit further left, so we get that. That's not bad. Alright. And then, of course, we just have to add that real quick to our menu cameras. Hit one. Drag that in. Bam. Alright. So now, if we actually go back to our splash fade, then we load everything in, everything will be perfect, and we will achieve world peace. At least that's the goal. And I'm going to take a drink while we're loading. Alright, so if we type start, continue. Nice. So now that we run over here, it should work this time. Everything works as expected. Alright. That is correct. Okay. Then if we exit, so quit, yes, save game, not going to worry about it. Crap. No, I probably actually wanted that, didn't I? Well, actually, it won't matter. So we can skip through here. Type start again. Type continue. Okay. So now if we sprint back here. Huh! That is the strangest thing I have ever seen. Something has to be wrong. As in, like, something... wow. It's so weird. Let's debug this real quick. We have our hero clone. That is so weird. I don't know what's causing it yet. See, and it even thinks that we're in the dark right here. So if we leave, yeah, right there. That is so weird. So if I debug this, yeah, I don't have anything that I need to show through the debug there. I don't. I'm honestly not sure what goes wrong here. The only thing I can think of is that those events are resetting somehow. I don't know how or why. So if I find all references, yeah. Huh. And this isn't null, because if this global.hero turned out to be null, it would break the game. Like, it would throw a null reference, and then we would be able to find it. But that's not happening. We're not getting any errors. We don't have any warnings, even. We don't have anything. It's just the stuff we put in there. Programming is fun. So... maybe it's because it's from a get statement, but that's... Do you think a low poly game would be a good start for making a game? Well, I mean, Text Quest is a low poly game, definitely. I guess it depends on your style. Do you have an aesthetic that you're thinking of? Or an aesthetic, because it starts with an A. Like, for example, Text Quest is low poly. If we actually look at some of the stuff over here, everything's fairly flat. There's a lot of quads, although I guess technically it's triangulated when you bring it into Unity. And the reason for that is because the aesthetic kind of mandates it. If I didn't have flat surfaces, I couldn't make legible textures. But in this case, I think it works. But in terms of other low poly styles, I would say be careful, because if you're just doing it to learn, then by all means go crazy with whatever low poly aesthetic you can think of. But if you want to like sort of intend to show it to people as an impressive thing, I tend to find that the low poly like vertex coloring aesthetic, which a lot of it's like that flat shading where like each polygon face has a sort of sub color on it. I tend to find that being a little played up now because a lot of indie games did it and do it right now. So it's a little sort of a tired aesthetic or a tired look. But yeah, low poly is definitely a lot easier than anything else in terms of 3D. Because if you try to do photorealistic on your first game, you're just gonna, you're putting your hand in a bear trap at that point because you're not going to be able to animate everything to a way that it feels satisfying to look at. Okay, so, let's go ahead and I'm just gonna do this step by step. So we're gonna do this. Debug.log. Dark. I hate doing this, but I'm legitimately curious to find out what the problem is. So we're gonna debug dark if it's in the dark, debug light if it's in the light. If we hit these two debugs, we know that it's firing the events. And I don't think we ever tell it to clear those events, so that's kind of weird. That is true. Garrett brings up a good point. If you're just starting out, I would definitely do like 2D and do something very simple. But if you're already somewhat experienced and you're looking at 3D stuff, then I would recommend low poly because low poly is a very good sort of way to break into 3D because you don't have to worry about photorealism or hitting a polygon limit most likely. So you're probably not going to hit like over 10,000 triangles per mesh, which is actually not that bad nowadays, but still. All right. Now where was I? So that's our player script. Next, we want to come down here. We're going to debug.log, semicolon, and we're going to just say do in the dark. Okay. So now, I don't think I need on trigger stay anymore. I think I can actually get rid of this. I do think I remember why I added it, but I'm still going to comment it out for now. Excuse me. Okay. Yep, that should about be it. So we'll let that go. Yeah, poly count doesn't seem to matter that much unless you're talking mobile. Yeah. No, that's true. The poly count limit is kind of I don't want to say vanished, but it's a lot more durable than it used to be. Because it used to be, like what was it? Main characters in a game used to be at most 8,000 polygons, which would be 8,000 triangles. And that was considered a lot. I think that was roughly about, 5 to 10 years ago, actually. And for the most part, that's kind of been consistently what you would model at, because you don't really need to go super high in terms of poly count, because there's diminishing returns on that stuff. And once you get past about 10,000 polygons, you're not seeing a whole lot of extra detail be added that a bump map couldn't do at much better performance. So for the most part, that 10,000 barrier is still it's a good soft number now. It's just not a hard number now. All right, so let's go back to our login or our splash fade. We'll step through everything. I want to know why it's not being called, because it should totally be being called. Ooh, that was interesting. Okay, so it works. Okay, So we get light, in light. Hold on, I don't remember what this is. That's fine. That's starting off. So it starts off we're in the light. It says we're in the light. That's good. Okay. Then we go to, are we in the dark? False. Okay. Then we're going into the dark. Good. And then it actually says we're in the dark. Good. That's expected. Then it says we're in the dark because we're showing our darkness icon. That's all good. And then we go to the light, and then we go to in light. Okay. That's all expected. So let's quit. Yes, I'm sure. Do I want to save game? No. I love stepping through problems. Makes me feel like I'm a young programmer starting out again. Where it's just like, this is so simple, why can't I do it? Because that's kind of how I feel right now. So start, continue. Okay. So again, we get light. But, oh, never mind, no, that's fine. Okay. Is that fine, though? No. No, it's not. We should have had in light get called here. It did not. It did not. Okay. So that means that if we come down here, it's still not going to work. Weird. Yep. Yep, right there. So we get our dark, but we don't get our in dark. Interesting. So, good God, what am I going to do here then? I basically, it makes no sense. What clears this? The only thing I could think is that it's looking at a different character, I guess. Let's play through it one more time. We're going to take a look at our pooling system to see what is there after the player has been erased or deleted. And if the player is gone, like if the player character object is not there, then we're on to something and that makes more sense. But let's see. So by hitting start and then continue. Okay, we now have a pool manager with our hero. Oh, you know what? I wonder. No, maybe not. Okay, so we're coming in here. Expected. Okay, now let's quit out. Yes, I want to quit. Want to save the game? No. Okay, we have a hero clone pool, which is being ignored. Interesting. Interesting. Well, let's type start again. Continue. It's not giving us any errors, but our pool is not quite properly behaving like it should. Well, this is very strange. We don't have the hero anywhere else. Huh. That is... I don't know what to make of that. The only thing I could think of is that this is not the same hero, somehow. I think I have a good test. Yatata, yatata. And start. Continue. I need to get a skybox. I don't like the solid blue color on the skies anymore. It's one of the first design choices I made, and I was like, it looks okay. But now I feel like I could get away with something better. But I don't know what. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to adjust something here. Let's adjust our radius to be 0.5. Very simple. So if our player character's radius is not 0.5, when we come back in, we'll know that it's wrong. Right there. Bam! Ha! Called it! It did not get saved right. Ha! So this is a completely different hero that's getting looked at right here. Called it. That explains why it always broke. Because it was, the old one was getting deleted somehow. Alright, I got you. So that means if we go to, let's see, player, find all references, scene transition, hero.get components, blah, 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 blah. No, don't need to worry about that. Global.hero. Let's find all references for this, because this is probably going to be where our thing actually is. Hero.spawn, blah, 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 in dark, check dark, position, rotation, global.hero. I think it's like way down here at the bottom. Pool manager.recycle. Maybe it doesn't recycle properly. Oh, wait. I don't think it does. Especially if this does not delay for at least one frame. Which it might not. I don't think it does. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and say yield return null to have it wait one frame. Because I think the idea was for the most part, that explains why it doesn't break when we transition between scenes, but not when we do a hard transition to a different one. Because when we transition between scenes, we have a crossfade, which means that our character is being preserved properly. But if the transition happens immediately, it's entirely possible that the game does not have enough time to actually clean up assets as expected, and therefore it would break. We'll check this out again and see if it preserves it this time. Love solving programming problems like this, which partially the engine, partially my own code. Oh man. Start, continue. And let's go ahead, let's change it to 0.5. That's all fine, right? Okay. Now we have a slightly wider person. We get our is dark. You are likely to be eaten by a Gru. Good. So escape, quit, are you sure? Yes. Do I need to save? No, I do not. Damn. It still looks like it didn't happen properly. Or something is resetting the radius, which is highly unlikely, but... Weird. Let's see. You know, it might just be... I really don't want to do it that way, but it might just be better to not worry about it and have the HUD just get told when the what to do when the player enters and exits darkness. Understanding Mac build signing is a nightmare. And I used to work on this exact same thing as a job. No, I remember the company I worked at before my current job is I had to do some Mac builds and do some Mac certification, and it's crazy ass backwards how complicated. Well, it's not even complicated. It's more tedious than anything else, because like it's incredibly specific what you have to do, and it only really works half of the time, regardless of if you change anything or not. And depending on your OS, it might be a hopeless task. Really trying to get stuff set up properly for Apple is just so terrible. But yeah. Can you restate what you said to Vital Reflex about breaking into 3D games, or to starting off in 3D games, basically yes. If you're learning 3D, like if you're already comfortable with 2D games and you want to jump to 3D, I would suggest that it's better to start in a low poly style, because it is trying to do photorealism right off the bat is only going to hurt you. Since you with photorealism comes not only making things look good, they have to look good in motion. So you have to animate everything photorealistically, which is problematic. And there's just a whole host of problems that you have to deal with photorealism or a more realistic 3D than trying to start off with a more stylized, less complicated 3D approach. So, um, this is kind of driving me nuts. I mean, I do think we've found the issue, but it just hasn't properly done it. Let's see, Dark Zone, Castle Quarters Manager. I think, what was it? We went pause view, go to definition, level, async. Yeah, so even though we added one frame, it's still not quite working as expected. Which, of course not. Well, that's very unfortunate. We set our game object on active self equal to none. Oh, okay. I think I should do this. Global dot hero reference is not equal null. You know what? I don't know if I want this line at all, actually. Don't think I need it. I guess we'll find out, though, won't we? Okay. So, let's see. Yeah, I do wish I had some, catch-all suggestion in terms of getting into 3D, but I do not. I have a general recommendation, I suppose, but it's not a absolute truth. Especially if you're a 3D modeler or an artist, because if you're an artist, less of a programmer, more of an artist, you're gonna be very tempted, I think, to do more advanced 3D stuff, which isn't a bad thing, but it'll just be harder to implement in the long run as you're learning. So let's hit start, continue. Okay, then we're gonna quit out. Quit again. We're not gonna save our game. That might have worked. Nope. Oh, this is interesting. it. Huh. Huh. It got deleted. That could be problematic. And that would explain everything. Why did it? Okay, screw it. So I think that's a lost cause. I think it's a lost cause trying to get an event listener onto something that's constantly being sort of recycled, and it might be a little too unreliable. So we might change it from this global.hero.enter darkness to, so basically instead of doing that, what we would do is say, in our light dark trigger zone, we would just do it here. We'd could say UI.get HUD view .show darkness icon. Copy that over. Oh, except, actually, this has to happen outside of the if statement. It should always be true, because your reticle color should change no matter what, or regardless of whether or not you have a light, because it's indicative of if you're in the dark at all. And then again, we can just move that down to here. So show darkness icon, hide darkness icon, and again, we can put that down here. All right. Object pool. Man, I want to go finish my object pool project. Yeah. I mean, the object pool stuff I have is decent. It can get a little clunky, because you can do stuff like you can request objects to vector 3s along with rotations and offsets and whatnot. You can request stuff to a transform point, which will parent it to it. You can, and as well as set it up to be correctly, layered and whatnot if you need that. And you can just do a bunch of different stuff with the system itself, but it's kind of clunky in weird cases like this, which I guess isn't the pool managing system's fault. It's more like just how Unity handles events, I suppose. Although it's very distressing that the player character object is being destroyed, because that should not happen. Ugh, excuse me. So we'll type start, continue. Okay, so now if we run into this dark area, boom, boom, all is expected. Quit, and then yes. I need to add a couple of features to mine before I can sell it on the store. Oh, are you gonna sell your object pool as an asset? What I need to know is how other people use object pools, see what I'm missing. Yeah. Yeah, you could do some sort of open beta test, or closed beta would probably be better. So continue. Okay. So now, and pink! Yes! Yes! Although admittedly that, it is kind of somewhat a bittersweet victory because it works, but it's not what I was wanting to do. And it makes me sad that I couldn't figure out. I assume what was happening, well, we know what was happening. The original character was getting destroyed, which means that any event listeners associated with that were also not getting called anymore. And since that call only happens on awake, they weren't getting assigned again, and things were messing up. It's just unfortunate that was the case. There's a free object pool in the store that is very good, so I'll have to be better than that. Yep, you got to be way better to beat free, because free is a powerful incentive. Let's see. Because I have a list of 3 hierarchies that people sort of behave based on. And they basically follow convenience, cost, and enjoyability. So first is convenient. If something is incredibly convenient, then it will win out over anything else. That is, even if the other things are better, if the convenient thing is way more convenient, it wins. Then cost, if something is super cheap, and the other things are very expensive or even slightly more expensive, people will tend to be cheap and go for it. Again, unless the convenience from the more expensive stuff is just so much more important, so much more noticeable. And then, of course, enjoyability, which means that, you only consider your enjoyment if the first 2 practical purposes are served. If something is convenient and cheap, then you'll pick whichever one you enjoy more. That's just how people work. I have no idea if that is a factual, like if there has been studies to support that, but I've just noticed that as a trend that people tend to do when purchasing products. Okay, so we got that working. sort of. Not great, but sort of. So we'll move that up here for now. I guess, let's see. So the next thing would probably be volumetric lighting. Because I just want to see if we can get that working since we fixed our post-process effects scripts error. So let's go back to our planes level. So overworld, planes. And now we're going to drag in our player character again. Yeah, no, that's why convenience is at the top of my list. Because if something is convenient but costs an arm and a leg, if it's as long as it's incredibly convenient, people will do it. That's why, like my argument for this is basically seedless watermelons. And I know for a lot of people this is going to be something that they raise an eyebrow and be like, seedless watermelons, how does that prove anything? And I'm going to tell you how. Because seedless watermelons are garbage fruit. They are terrible, they're disgusting, and they taste awful. But people enjoy buying them and eating them because it is way more convenient for people to eat something that tastes terrible but has no seeds that you have to spit out than it is for them to eat something that actually tastes great, but have to spit out spitting out seeds is incredibly inconvenient. So that's why the seedless watermelon fruit is such a popular fruit, despite the fact that it's terrible and it's a blight on the earth and it needs to be destroyed. Kind of, if I had a giant Gallagher hammer, I would make it my personal mission to just go to every store and smash all the seedless watermelons. Yes. Of ribs. Yeah, and that's the thing, is like ribs are usually incredibly delicious, but they are incredibly cumbersome to eat. They are very difficult to eat. But again, they are usually very tasty. But you don't really get them because, one, they're more expensive. Partially because, they're harder to cook and they're better cuts of meat. But also, they taste better. But they're inconvenient, so not a lot of people get them. And the people that do pay a premium. I almost forgot what I was doing. Let's drag in my player again. And we're just going to move them up a little bit. Move them down a little bit. 2 more. Okay, good. And then we're going to add to our main camera. We are going to add a... let's see what post-process effects I have. So standard assets, asset store. Actually, I guess it would just be under effects. Image effects, texture, shaders. No, scripts. Bah. Don't want bloom, although I'm curious. Barely noticeable. I don't like bloom though, so. Crab, for that matter. Crab is actually one of those things where the enjoyment factor of crab is so great that it does kind of overrule the other two, because people really like crab. I really like crab. I'm not going to go out and eat it every day because that would be tiresome, but as an occasional thing, it's great. Because despite the fact that you have to spend like 15 minutes cracking things open and tearing out meat, and then soaking it in butter, it is quite delicious. I forget what was God rays called in, or what were God rays called in Unity's default image effects? I always forget. Not depth of field. Yeah, no, lobster's super easy because it's just, chop off the tail and then munch on that. Sun shafts, that's what it was. Or sun rays, yeah. I don't think I'm going to be able to really notice that, because I don't know if it needs, if it needs a light, like a directional light that's not baked or not. Well, we'll find out, won't we? Let's see, resolution, we'll do high, I guess. We'll do normal. Shafts caster. Okay, and I guess the caster is going to be our directional light. I assume. I could be wrong on that. And let's just play, see what happens. I don't know if we're going to get any noticeable effects. Because we do have a baked light map in this level, but I don't know if the sun shafts work with baked lighting. Yeah, because I'm not noticing anything. That's a shame. Because I mean, our global fog is still, yeah. So our global fog still works, which is good. It says scene mishmash or mits. Oh, right, because that's. I mean, we have a main light, but the problem is it's not. Let's set it to mixed and see what happens. No, because it's baked lighting. 2 audio listeners. How the hell did there get to be? Oh, right. Hold on. All right. So we do have a directional light, but it doesn't seem to want to actually work. I'm not sure what to do here. I honestly was hoping that it would just be like a quick 1-2 thing and then we'd be done with it. But oh, how foolish of me to think that Unity would cooperate. Because it doesn't look like we're getting any effect at all. And I think we're gonna have to no clip for this. DQ no clip. Because there should be a shaft in here if there ever was one. So yeah, it's like pitch black in here. Is it in the right rendering layer? I mean, the main light is in the default rendering layer, and our main camera renders default. So I don't know what else I would have to do to really get that working. I mean, if we come down here, we can see that it's got. Maybe I should update like the color to be red or something so that it's very easy to see. It doesn't look like it. Huh. Changing it to add blend mode doesn't seem to work. Let's go back to screen. Oh, maybe the distance fall off is too great. Nope. Man, that sucks. Let's raise our intensity, like 3. At this point, I'm just kind of like going crazy trying to make it so I can at least see something. But yeah, it's set to screen mode blending. I'm not sure what the problem is here. Well, it could be that it doesn't like deferred rendering. I would not doubt it. And if that's the case, then I probably would have to do something stupid. Because this is forward rendering, it doesn't have anything that it needs on it. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure. That is very weird. Okay. Well, I do not know. Probably should rely on the Z buffer, I would assume. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like volumetric lighting in general is just like it's out to get me. It doesn't want me to be able to use it. Shafts cast. It did say scene mismatch, but that's only because it's Oh, actually, that would be a problem now, wouldn't it? Well, I mean, that would only be a problem until we fixed it. But so what it's doing here is it's saying scene mismatch, which all that means is that it's trying to load something across the scene. I'm not sure if this gives me a tooltip. No, of course not. Why would it? But a scene mismatch doesn't actually mean it's null. It just means that it's not in the same scene. But they should still exist because they're both loaded into the world. So not great. I mean, I could add it real quick. It's not going to be great. So I come over here to planes. I would have to add sun. Ugh. Ugh. It should probably be real. Oh, wow, that was really. I probably want that to be real time. Um, I don't think that assigning it in script would actually change much. I can look at it though. So let's go to our planes level. Okay. Then we'll do public transform. I'm assuming it's just a transform. Sun. Main camera. Yeah, it's just a transform. And then protected. Actually, you know what? We'll just go public override on level load complete. Let me think. When I want to say, I believe it's using Unity standard assets.effects, right? Yeah. So we're going to say sun shafts ss equals global dot hero dot effects. No, I don't think I need to do that actually. I think I can just say effects manager. Or image effect. I forget what I called it. Okay, hold on. I set up the manager and I just never remember. Lunch? You're not that far behind me. Should still be like dinner there. Post-process controller. There you go. Post-process controller dot enable post effect sun shafts d dot none for now. All right, let's go to definition here. We'll do environment. Sunlight. Sunlight. Come back here, say planes manager dot sunlight. Okay. I'm going to say ss dot. Oh, is it caster? It's not. Shafts caster. ss dot shafts. Seriously. Of course, it's a custom thing. Let's see. Light. Ugh. Let's see. Da-da-da-da. Sun transform, I guess. Equals sun. Okay. Let's add some effects here. Great. The fact that it's none means that there's errors. Ah, I forgot my comma. Love it when I do that. Oh, man. I am tired. It's not fun running back and forth between houses trying to set things up. Let me tell you, it tires you out fast. Let's go back to our inspector again. We'll drag this up, say sunlight, and alright, let's go ahead and move this up. Yeah, nope, it's going to break it, and then we'll hit apply. Cool. Save this out. Let's go back up to our correct scenes. So text quest, scenes, overworld, planes. All right. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I wanted other splash fade because I got to log in, or not log in, play. I think that's about all I'm gonna need. Right? Yep, right there. Nope, completely spelled start wrong. Continue. Okay. Now let's look at our global hero. Look object, main camera. It has the sun shafts on, but our shafts caster is not correct. Interesting. Oh, that's why. Because I didn't assign the sun. And there we go. And for those of you who have never played Metal Gear Solid 4, you should. But there was a gun that I just thought of from it called the. I think it's called the Solar Gun, or the Solar Night Gun, and it's basically a gun that you have infinite ammo for. Oh, right, I can't play the scene directly. And when you need to recharge it, you just hold it up to the sky and shout "Sunlight!" And then you gather solar energy. It is really amusing. Especially since the entire game, it's Metal Gear Solid, so it's obviously a giant stealth game. And having your guy stand up in the middle of a combat field and just yell, "Sunlight!" is kind of amusing. Start, continue. Pause. Let's go to our hero, main camera. It's on. It's got the scene mismatch, which, yeah, I expected that to happen. Threshold color. Maybe a threshold color is actually kind of important. I don't know if threshold color means like any color that's higher than this. I wish I just knew why it doesn't seem to like work. Like I'd be fine if it. Ah, there it is. Oh wow, it's just like, bam. Wow, that was really. Oh boy. It's casting off of cloud. Oh, that's super weird. Look, it's like fading off of the top. Okay. That looks hideous. Like, that's so weird. maybe I shouldn't rely on Z-buffer? Oh, I guess I have to rely on Z-buffer. Okay, so can I, if I pause this and make changes, will it actually update in real time? Good, it will. Let's set our distance fall off to be 0.25. I guess that does kind of make sense. It would be more amusing if they actually cast shadows, which I don't see a reason why they shouldn't. I think they're just textures. Well, they should cast shadows. They should be two-sided so that they do cast shadows, because that would be quite amusing. Especially if I could. No, damn, I can't. Oh, gross. Yeah, that's fine. Because I would want these to be hard shadows. Either way, let's continue editing our look. So threshold color here. Yeah, so the problem was that it's just not enough of a threshold color, I guess. That's super weird. So the color was off. We just couldn't see it, basically. I'm not sure what to do with the threshold color. Let's do shafts color. Yeah, it just feels. I don't know. Not really God Ray-y. I don't know a better term for it. I think we're gonna go crazy and make it like pink so that we can see very obvious. Because like then this stuff happens, like where if you're not looking at it, it's just straight up not visible. Like that. It's so weird that it cuts like that. If we don't look, it's not. Like I would expect to see it here, too, but I don't. I have to be looking over this way, which is hugely unfortunate. And that's not good enough. So let's try increasing blur size. Okay, so making it super large, we get very subdued God rays. Oh, sorry, that was the shaft's color. Our size seems to be really not what you would expect. I do like this. I like having the cloud shadows be visible, but it just. Let's see what they look like at different blur iterations. So this is 1. Not brilliant. This is 2, which is what we were looking at already. What about 3? 3 is somewhat more like I expected, but again, like it sucks that you have to be looking at it. And in a weird way, like you get stuff like this where you can come up close and see. And in a weird way, I mean, it makes sense, but it's also kind of dumb. I feel like they're handling it very odd. Huh. Well, you can always increase the intensity, I guess. Bump this up to 2. Let's go ahead and pause here. So I need a better system, I think. I need something that just doesn't like go away when you don't look at it. That's the problem, is that it's just disappearing if you're not looking at it, and it's disappearing in a way that is very noticeable. Um, ugh. I might. That might have to be done later, I think. Like I might need to. I might need to check into other solutions that could possibly be used here, because I don't like having. I mean, it's not that it's pink or anything like that. It's just that I don't like how it looks. Because if I were to make it more, traditional, like yellowish or whatever, that doesn't really help it any. Um, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised. It is a post-process effect after all, so it does make sense that you have to be looking at things for them to be active. It just sucks that it doesn't look great. I was honestly hoping for a lot better. Oh man. Um, I don't know. Go ahead and close that off. We'll leave it on for now. But we'll have to see what ends up happening. Well, actually, let me tweak some stuff real quick on it again, because I'm kind of curious actually what combining it with the fog effect will look like. Well, I don't. It's not so much an FOV thing. It's just that if you look away from the sun, it breaks. So like right here, no nothing. But then oh right, we gotta change the settings on it again. Let's go to our main camera. Threshold color. Let's sort of dunk that down a little bit. So like right here, you can see that we have some lighting. And then if we turn away, it just goes away. But if we look at it from here, we'll see it again. It's very subtle, because our threshold color is not very dark, but it's there. It's odd that that stuff isn't exposed in the editor, I guess. Because we have all this stuff. And I mean, we can go to stuff like ss dot. Let's see what we have. DirectX 11. Really? DirectX 11 support? Huh. Is active and enabled. All that stuff's the basic functions. Radial blur iterations, max radius. Of course, you're not going to tell me what that is. Is it already visible here? It is not, which means that it's okay. Just something that they. Why do they do that? Why do they let you access it in code, but then they hide it in the editor? That's just so weird. I don't know. Do max radius plus equal. All right, well, not equals 50. Yeah. I don't know. Let's debug it. .log ss.max radius. It's not odd, it's unity. That sadly does sound like a slogan that they would use. It's not odd, it's unity. Stop playing. Oh, man. Oh, good. We got a reference script missing. That's always fun. Oh, and we can get rid of these debugs real quick. Get rid of this, and get rid of these parentheses, or not parentheses, get rid of these, what do you call them? Braces. Don't have any other debugs down here, which is good. Let's go to our light dark trigger zone. Get rid of these. Okay. Let that compile again. That's kind of always worrying. I do think once we get this fixed or figured out, hopefully it will be the last thing we do on the stream tonight. So semi-short stream, 2 hours. But I'm feeling a little worn out from today. And also, we had those two really exciting. Okay, that's not too bad. Start, continue. Okay. Oh, and again, forgot I should just make these changes out in the scene once we're done. Darken this a little bit. Like you can blatantly see it here. And it's way more blatant when we come up here, obviously. I'm surprised there isn't like a noise effect that you can apply to it, because it's partially hard to see because it's not doing what God rays usually do, which is show stuff in the air. Like the one of the reasons you can see lights in a volumetric type way like this is that it's basically lighting up the particles in the area, or the motes of dust and whatnot that are in the area. And the fact that it's just straight up like light here is kind of weird to me. So let's go ahead and... crap, I didn't hold down shift. That was my fault. Well, while we're here, let's just go ahead and change our character camera prefab. So we'll go to main camera, darken this up to like about there, I think. And apply. And we can save. Oh man. Let's go ahead and maximize on play. I am sorry that I'm so tired today. I am only human. Sometimes I do get very tired. Alright, so now if we were to turn around, yeah. See, that's the worst of it. It's just like the way that it pops in. Because it makes it feel like it's not there when you're not looking at it. Which is just a really weird way to see things. Alright. So the next thing we want to do is Control Shift B. So we pause but do not stop playing. Let's come down here to our main camera. And red is a little much. Let's go for a sort of slightly warm yellow. Distance fall off should probably be at 0.1. Blur size is relatively marginal. 4 is probably fine. And blur iterations, we already figured that out. I'm assuming that this is just how many times it tries to calculate it out, with 3 being the highest and 1 being the lowest quality setting. 2 seems to be fine. And then, of course, our intensity, which doesn't really need to change. And that gives us this. A barely noticeable set of lights that will vanish the moment you look away. That's brutal. Like, even doing this, still nothing. You have to... I don't know. I'm actually not too sure what to do here, but I do think that I'm just going to say I'm not going to use that post-process effect. Not because I think that God rays are bad, but because I think that this God rays is bad. So let's bump this back down to 3 and then get rid of sun shafts. It just feels too cumbersome. There has to be a better way of doing this, and I would like to know what it is. So I'm going to have to do some research on that. Yeah, I don't know. But I think, let's see. Yeah, I'm not too keen to start one of the other ones, because the other ones are going to be, like, they are easily a 2-hour long stream on their own. So I think I'll save those for later. So that might be a good place to actually stop tonight. Again, it's a little early, but sometimes it's nice to end a little early. Especially since I'm going to be packing and moving. So I'm in like 2 days or a day and a half. So I need to finish up packing stuff up. So again, we will not be streaming on Saturday of this week or this weekend because I am going to be moving. And we'll see if I'll be able to stream next Tuesday or not because the internet at the new place is scheduled to turn on Tuesday, and it's scheduled to turn on like at 4, between 4 and 6 on Tuesday. So we'll see if I get internet, and if I don't, obviously I won't be able to stream. So yeah, it's the best part of moving to a new place in a new city with new utilities people that you have to try to get to actually do things. All new expenses. While paying off old expenses, because of course you have to do that. Yeah, moving's fun. So that's what my weekend's going to be like. Hopefully all of your weekends will be much better than mine. I assume by default they will be. But that'll be a good place to stop tonight. And do I have any other announcements? Not off the top of my head. So, all right. As always, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time.